The question of suffering has been going on forever. As long as time has been, people have questioned, why me? Why is this happening to me? Even people who didn't even believe in a God would ask themselves, why me? Why is this happening to me? Well, first of all, we live in a fallen world. This is not heaven, that's for sure. And so while we're here, we have to deal with all the crap that is on the earth, whether it's people being abused, wars, struggle, cancer. Why do children have cancer? Why do people suffer? Why do they struggle? And this is a question that's gone on from time immemorial. And one person who has a really good idea of what suffering is the Apostle Paul. And in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9, he says, "We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Paul knew that God was there, whether he was in a prison cell, whether he was on a ship, whether he was in need, whether he was in pain, God was there. And the thing that I like about this verse is that he says, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair. How many of us are perplexed, especially at the question of suffering? Like, why? I want to know why. I want to be able to give an answer to someone about why there is suffering and why this is okay on this earth. Paul said we're perplexed, but we're not in despair. And people for centuries have really struggled with this idea of suffering. And there was a gentleman who lived in the 18th century, a believer by the name of Fyodor Dostoevsky. And this is from his book, The Brothers Karamazov. "I believe like a child that suffering will be healed and made up for, that all the humiliating absurdity of human contradictions will vanish like a pitiful mirage, like the despicable fabrication of the impotent and infinitely small Euclidean mind of man, and that in the world's finale, at the moment of eternal harmony, something so precious will come to pass that it will suffice for all hearts, for the comforting of all resentments, for the atonement of all the crimes of humanity." And this, some of his phrases in this are hilarious, but they're amazing. That basically he's saying at the end of time, when we can look at all of history, all the crap, all the struggling, all the suffering, that it will vanish like a pitiful mirage, and that at the very end of time, we will finally understand what this was all for, what it was all about, what the purpose was of it. And at the beginning, he says, "I believe like a child that suffering will be healed and made up for." And really, can I give you an answer to why suffering is? No, I can't. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer that you would want. I don't have an answer that would satisfy you at all. But I do know that all we can do is to believe that God's got this and that God will help us and that we are not abandoned by him. Just like Paul said, he is not abandoned. God has not abandoned us. When you are in the pit of despair, God is in that pit with you. Why? Because his son, God's son, endured all of this. He endured the pain, the shame, the humiliation, everything, all the wickedness and all the crap in this world. Jesus experienced it himself. And because he experienced it, he can comfort us in our struggles as well. And all the apostles, all the believers in the past, they should have fled, they should have left, they should have bailed at the first sign of struggle, especially when it concerns Jesus. But they stuck with him because they knew that God had a purpose. And God has a purpose for your life. He has a purpose for this struggle. It doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make it any easier, and it still sucks. And I can't give you an answer. I can't give you a reason why, but I know that God will be with you in this mess. God will be with you in the trenches. He will be with you in the foxhole when the bombs are exploding all around you. He will be with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. He is good, and all we can do at the end of the day is just trust him. So that's it. And I pray that you will make it through and endure this. And that's all I can say. God bless you. God bless you in this. And I pray that you will come out on the other side.